Welcome to the Night Shadows channel. Get ready to dive into a new horror story. Put on your headphones, turn off the lights, and let your mind wander through the darkest corners of imagination. But before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our daily stories. Now, take a deep breath and step into the story, if you dare. As they walked through the village, Clara noticed a familiar figure lingering at the edge of the square, Elda. The elder's brow was furrowed, her expression somber, as she regarded the aftermath of the festival. Clara approached her, seeking the wisdom that had guided them through previous trials. "Elda, what do we do now?" Clara asked, her voice low, almost hesitant. "How can we protect the village from what's coming?" Elda's eyes sparkled with a mixture of fear and determination. "We must confront the truths we've long avoided. The darkness feeds on our secrets, our fears. If we can shed light on what binds it to us, we may weaken its hold." Clara felt a chill run down her spine. "What do you mean? What secrets?" Elda hesitated, her gaze shifting to the trees that bordered the village, as if they were listening. "Each of us carries a burden, a fear we've buried deep within. It is different for everyone. The darkness knows these fears and uses them against us." Tomas stepped closer, his expression resolute. "Then we need to face those fears. If we understand them, we can strip the darkness of its power." "Exactly," Elda replied. "But this requires courage. We must gather everyone and share our stories, no matter how painful. Only then can we begin to understand what the darkness truly seeks." Clara took a deep breath, the enormity of the task ahead settling in her chest like a stone. "Let's call a meeting. We need to bring everyone together again, and this time, face our fears head on." As the sun climbed higher in the sky, Clara and Tomas spread the word. The villagers gathered once more in the square, their expressions a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. Clara stood before them, her heart racing as she prepared to share the plan. "Thank you all for coming," she began, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside her. "Last night, we faced a darkness that threatened to consume us. But we stood together and pushed it back. However, it is clear that the darkness will return. To defeat it, we must confront our fears and share our secrets." A murmur of unease rippled through the crowd. Clara pressed on, determined. "Elda has reminded us that the darkness feeds on what we hide. Each of us carries burdens that weaken us. If we expose them to the light, we may weaken the darkness' grip." Clara noticed a few villagers exchanging worried glances, their fears palpable in the air. "This will not be easy, but it is necessary. We must create a safe space to share. Who would like to go first?" Silence enveloped the square, the weight of unspoken fears hanging thick in the air. Clara felt the tension building, her heart pounding in anticipation. Finally, a hesitant hand rose in the back of the crowd. It was Mateo, his face drawn but resolute. "I will share," he said, his voice trembling slightly. "Years ago, I lost my daughter to the woods. She wandered off one night, and despite searching for her, we never found her. The pain of that loss has haunted me ever since, feeding into my fears every time I hear the trees rustling or see shadows moving." The crowd held its breath, and Clara felt a wave of sympathy wash over her. Mateo continued, his voice growing stronger as he spoke. "The darkness has used my grief against me. I fear it will take more from me, and I cannot let that happen again. I want to face it, to fight for her memory." Tears welled in Clara's eyes as she watched Mateo share his pain. Others began to step forward, one by one, sharing their own burdens and fears. Loss, regret, betrayal. Each story added to the collective weight of sorrow, but also illuminated the strength of their unity. As the sun dipped towards the horizon, the village square transformed from a place of fear into a sanctuary of shared experiences. Clara felt the air shift, the oppressive weight of darkness lightening with each revelation. They were not just individuals carrying their fears. They were a community, bound together by their struggles. Clara shared her own story, how the loss of her parents had shaped her fears and fueled her determination to protect the village. Each story resonated, echoing in the hearts of those who listened. They were no longer alone. They were warriors united in their vulnerability. As the last of the stories was shared, a profound silence enveloped the square. Clara could feel the darkness lurking, waiting to exploit their fears once again. But she also felt a newfound strength coursing through the villagers. "We have faced our fears," Clara said, her voice filled with conviction. "We will not let the darkness take our stories or our lives. Together, we are stronger than it can ever be." As night fell, the villagers lit lanterns, illuminating the square with a warm glow. Clara felt a surge of hope, realizing that they had forged a bond that would help them resist the encroaching darkness. They stood together, ready to confront whatever lay ahead, united by their shared fears and a determination to protect their home. But in the depths of the woods, unseen and silent, the darkness stirred, aware of the light that had begun to shine within the village. It watched, waiting for the perfect moment to strike again, determined to exploit the very unity that had emerged from the shared vulnerabilities. The air hung heavy with an electric tension as night draped its cloak over the village. Clara stood at the edge of the square, watching as the lanterns flickered against the encroaching darkness. She could feel it, an unshakable sense that the darkness was more than a mere presence. It was a predator, lurking just beyond the periphery of their safety, waiting for a moment of weakness to pounce. In the days that followed the villagers' confessions, Clara felt a shift in the atmosphere. The bonds formed in vulnerability seemed to create an invisible shield around them, yet the shadows danced closer, whispering doubts that crept into her mind. Every rustle of the leaves, every flicker of a candle, heightened her senses, making her hyper-aware of the sinister energy that thrummed just out of sight. As the moon reached its zenith, a deep, resonating bell rang through the village, summoning everyone to the square once more. The villagers gathered, their faces drawn and weary, but there was a fire in their eyes, a determination born from their shared burdens. Clara stepped forward, her heart racing as she prepared to address them. "Tonight, we gather not just to strengthen our resolve, but to confront the shadows that threaten us," she said, her voice steady yet laced with urgency. "We've shared our fears, but we must also prepare for the darkness that waits for an opportunity to strike." The villagers shifted uneasily, the palpable tension swirling around them. Clara continued, "Elda has spoken of a prophecy, of a time when our fears manifest and take form. We must be ready, for the darkness will not just remain a whisper in the night. It will rise, and we must face it together." Tomas stepped beside her, his presence reassuring. "We've felt the power of our unity, but we need a plan. If the darkness feeds on our fears, we must confront it not just with words but with action. We need to find its source and cut it off before it can strike." Clara nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. "But how do we do that? The woods are vast, and the darkness is cunning. We need to uncover its secrets, find out what binds it to our village,